When I heard Dame Dash that Jay wouldn't sign off on nothing, Jay wouldn't do this and Jay would that, because he couldn't let a Cameron blow up. He couldn't let an East Coast rapper like Beanie Siegel blow up.
Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately: Sean Carter.
He ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
After viewing the 50 Cent's Diddy documentary on Netflix, one item most likely caught your attention: Away. Jay-Z was nowhere to be seen. He has nothing to do with it. It is very peculiar, isn't it? There are no images, mentions, archival footage, or anything else. Even so, Diddy and him had a tight and passionate connection. Additionally, it becomes weirder the more you consider it. This wasn't random. That's the problem. Several industry insiders claim that Netflix abruptly cut a whole segment of episode 4. What did it possess? According to rumors, it was internally referred to as the Jay-Z recordings, and 50 Cent made a strong effort to retain it in the documentary, but Netflix ultimately decided to remove it.
Are you coming out? I know next year is going to be a number 2. Season 2?
I just put it on YouTube.
I just put it on YouTube.
But according to what we're learning today, that part was eliminated because the federal government became interested in the information that 50 Cent had gathered and may now be planning a thorough investigation into Jay-Z and his alleged crimes.
Everybody that is said, and Desiree Perez, all them people got dirt under them, bro. You understand? All them people got dirt on their fingernails. Jay-Z got dirt in his fingernails. You understand? Jay-Z was messing with young girls from our block. Tiring them. I'm putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm picking a side. Desiree, husband, was a former dealer that she turned on a whole cartel. All of them got dirt on them. And 50 got they dirt. You understand? 50 gonna know they dirt. Because 50 got investigators, he got people that's in the street. So if they go at him, listen here, I deem him like myself, 10 times the normal man. He gonna do what he gotta do. And the whole thing about it is they trying to retaliate on him for something he did to somebody else. I feel that it's something worth seeing. It's something worth coming around, because all that shit about to fall. All that that we seen in the industry, these demons want to have sex and turn little boys into little girls into little boys. That shit's about to go out the window, bro. And we need to start speaking up and talking about it. We need to stop all this crazy stuff. We need people to put people out here that's doing like this, that's taking from people's families, that's beating women, that's d***ing women. I ain't got a problem with it. Let's go to war.
The way everyone else was treated in the documentary makes this tough to overlook. There was discussion of other significant personalities. Allegations were addressed, lawsuits were discussed, and careers were looked at. However, Jay-Z wasn't downplayed. He was eliminated. It's hardly a coincidence that one of the story's most influential characters gets away with it while everyone else is scrutinized. Damage control is what it is. You must comprehend Jay-Z's connection with Diddy in order to comprehend why his absence is significant. Many individuals who worked in Diddy's inner circle have said that the two were very close for years, despite subsequent remarks that attempted to minimize their relationship.
They were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So, I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, so I gotta go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pac is 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that I was gonna knock out. And then we was at the, it was me, him, Ashley Kushner, Puff and them. We was all at the next game together, and he didn't even remember none of it. And I don't expect him to remember, but I remembered. You understand? And he told Puff, he said, yo, Puff, yo, I heard about that Gene right there. That Gene got a mean left. Oh, you said that Gene a knocking out. Then he gonna come up to me and say, man, you look like, man, you a turn ass up. And I said to himself, I said, yo, no Diddy. Pause, whatever. I said, he don't even remember. I was about to knock him the F out. He didn't even remember. He said to me, to Laura. That's how these guys are, man. They'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they've done because they on a whole nother atmosphere.
This was more than business. It was more than simply music. According to insiders, there is a strong personal and professional connection. Jay-Z's legal team swiftly issued statements claiming they weren't actually close when Diddy started to face significant legal pressure. That didn't resemble reality at all, according to former insiders who promptly fought back. The public narrative, according to some there, did not match what transpired behind closed doors.
Lawsuit come with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
Right. To us, black excellence, right?
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch. You're like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. He ain't doing different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
And that's crucial because federal investigations don't concentrate on a single individual as they grow. They examine networks. They observe who was there, what they knew, and who said nothing. People start pulling away at that point, and it seems like Jay-Z is afraid of what Diddy would do to him.
The relationship and the camaraderie between the Jigga Man and the Diddler. Okay? These are two people that have been working in concert, collaborating and competing. These are people that have been covering each other's secrets for decades. That's why I say to sit there and to just make Diddy the acceptable monster and not address his greatest collaborator in all of his business dealings it's a miscarriage of justice. Because what you're doing is you're leaving the other half of this two-headed monster out on the street to still be able to do what they do. While this one looks like he's down. This is a man who pow-powed his own brother and somehow walked away from that instance, got involved in the street trade, and somehow everyone else went to jail except for him. He's been making deals with the government and with the feds for quite some time. If none of this is real, how does the CEO of his record conglomerate Rock Nation, how is she a known federal informant whose background is transferring on multiple levels? Desiree Perez is one of the most despicable human beings to ever walk the face of this earth. And I'm not saying allegedly, I know that about you, man. I know about all your business dealings in Laredo. I know about all your business dealings in Guadalajara. And I know about who you know in Sinaloa. Why is a woman who's had this much engagement with the Mexican cartels running a rap conglomerate? That makes no sense. And she is a chartered government informant. What it sounds like to me is that the government found a very, very, very successful way to control and manipulate hip hop by allowing their top agents to run everything and keep the independent jail system going, because a lot of these rappers are also heavily invested in the jails that most of these rappers go to. It's a bigger business.
You have to show damages to really win defamation as well.
Absolutely,
is that just
but
part of the
they're
legal
not
plan?
going to do that against me. Because if they do that, then they have to explain how I know what I know. See, the truth is I've had them at check for 2 years. Checkmate is coming, I promise you.
People acquainted with the case claim that the deleted segment of episode 4 was intended to highlight longstanding accusations about Jay-Z's private life, sealed contracts, and stringent secrecy obligations. Although these allegations have been made for years, no major streaming platform has ever really investigated them. Do you know why I'm not vindicated?
Why there's no vindication for me? Because for 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond. You have no choice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately. Sean Carter. This has been a fist of tyranny that has been punching through our culture and our society for decades. It must stop.
The treatment of young artists in the business was the subject of a significant portion of the removed material.
We finally gonna have a real conversation about whether or not Rihanna was trafficked.
Oh.
To Def Jam.
She was an innocent baby when she came over here. And look
She
at
was
her now.
14 going on 15 years old. Flown over without parental supervision in a private plane by a man who was supposed to be a producer who auditioned her at 3 a.m. in a hotel room. Auditioning at 3 a.m. in the morning, a 14-year-old girl.
With no parental consent.
With no parental, nobody. She was flown to another country. She was taken to Def Jam headquarters. She was left in a conference room alone with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours alone with no parental supervision. Her father was flown up separately. She was 14 and a half, going on 15. She's about 16 when Pon the Replay came out, wasn't she? Her father collected a $500,000 check. She has the fastest inked deal in Def Jam history.
How did they get Rihanna from Barbados to New York City? Quickly. They got her there quick.
Like that. On a private plane.
Yeah.
Just told you, just said that.
If people knew how many of these girls are transported around on private planes, how they're able to redact, change names on manifests, she wouldn't have needed parental consent or a passport if she got on a private plane on the manifest listed as someone else. They only worry about the body count. They're not checking IDs at the tarmac. They're trusting whoever's bringing them on is doing everything above board.
how
So
they
many
get.
girls were transported, models just like that.
These tales have been around for many years. Investigators are now looking more broadly at the ways that money, power, and silence interacted. Additionally, it becomes hard to ignore R. Kelly at this point. The music business was aware of R. Kelly's issues for years. Executives and artists steered clear of him long before legal suits and films. People didn't want their names associated with him. They avoided them. Jay-Z's business partner at the time, Dame Dash, has openly said that he had no interest in working with R. Kelly. He had no desire to be in his presence. He was unwilling to collaborate with him. He had no desire for his company to be associated with him. Jay-Z, however, didn't pull away. He collaborated with R. Kelly on whole albums.
Was you and R. Kelly ever cool at any point?
Why? He's an R&B. I'm not an R&B. No disrespect to R&B because I'm cool with Tyrese. But we have these things. Like sometimes I'll be like, "That's that R&B shit you doing." You know what I mean? I'm not R&B nigga like that. I wasn't hanging out with no R&B nigga. I just couldn't. I think the fact that Jay was fucking with him is what used to blow my mind more than anything. Like I feel like I don't know why he wants to fuck with this guy so much. Like why? I just never understood it. So I think it was just more me feeling awkward about the fact that I had to be around him on some level, but I wasn't around him. Like I never was around him. Like even when that not guilty, I wasn't, like I came for the video, I was out. I wasn't a guy, and I think like we took pride, at least I did, and my crew, in not hanging out with famous people or famous men. Like if you was gonna be famous, it had to be a female. But I wasn't trying to be up under no other famous dudes. I didn't think that was, like, I'm not gonna hang out with you just because you're famous. And I don't like dudes that much. So I was like, why would I have no reason. Like what I'm gonna do, go to the studio and hang out with it? Like, I don't do that.
Right. Did Jay know about what he did to Aaliyah?
Did he know that everybody knew R. Kelly married Aaliyah at 15? Everybody knew that. So was the conversation had, like, yo, how you gonna go and do something with this dude? Hell yeah, that conversation was had.
Later, when Aaliyah was an adult, Dame Dash started dating her. People then wonder, where was Jay-Z in the past? When so many people moved away from R. Kelly, why did he remain so close to him? Did they travel in the same protected circles, or was it simply business?
Like, yo, how you gonna do a project with my motherfucking girl? We had the conversation. Why would you still with someone that raped your girl? Would you still do anything with that person? So why would anyone expect me to? Like that's what I don't understand. I'd be like, yo, people be like, why? Just that alone. There's a lot of other, but that alone was like the nail in the coffin for me. I was out of there. I was gone. Trust me. After that, I don't want to be nowhere near. I knew that shit was gonna blow up. I didn't want no parts of that shit. Like I was like, I don't want no parts. That's not good money. So I was done with him for that.
How did Jay respond when you confronted him about it?
You know how he is. It's like, yo, I ain't nothing to do with that. Damn. What I would love is for someone to ask him, like, yo, why would you still do a project with that man knowing that he in a lead? That should be the question. Period. It shouldn't be for me. It should be the question posed to him. I don't give a fuck about nothing else. But that right there was bridge burnt. But I just was like respecting her, respecting the business. But I was I moved out of Rock. Like if y'all look at, I left Rockefeller. It wasn't that I got kicked out of Rockefeller. I left Rockefeller. You understand what I'm saying? The option was there for me to stay. I did not want no parts of it. I was done. I left Rockware. Think about it, bro. I said, all the money, I'm out. Now think about, a lot of men would not have made that choice, but any real man would have to make that choice. I was left no choice. He gave me an offer I could not refuse. Like, we done. You know what I'm saying? You gonna put this man, you knew he raped my girl, you was in love with her. How could you do that? It's obviously you want me to feel away. Like it wasn't enough money for us to do that. So I was done.
This is the point at which Jaguar Wright reappears. Jaguar, who has been speaking out for years, says she was unable to remain quiet after seeing what really went on behind the scenes in the business, particularly with regard to Aaliyah. She argues that fear and pressure from the business dominated her and forced her to sign stringent agreements to be silent.
It is time for Aaliyah Dana Houghton's death to be properly investigated.
According to the official story, Aaliyah perished in a terrible aircraft accident in 2001. Numerous hypotheses have been put out over time. There are many who think it was a horrible accident. Some people think there are still unsolved issues. However, Jaguar Wright doesn't think it was a coincidence. She thinks it was planned.
Aaliyah was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after, she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep and may not have even been aware that she was on the airplane. Now, we should say we don't know what that pill was. It could have been aspirin. Maybe she was just very tired from a long video shoot, and the baggage handler did say that she took it willingly, but it does reveal some new information about those final moments.
After the crash, investigators determined the small plane was carrying about 700 pounds over its limit, and this is important, the center of gravity was too far back in the aircraft.
The pilot did not want to make this trip, and he reportedly argued with Aaliyah's team because he thought that it was unsafe. So he did make those calculations, and he did decide that it was unsafe. However, after protracted negotiation, they went through with that flight. Now, we did also learn some new things about this pilot. According to autopsy results, he had both alcohol and cocaine in his system.
The pilot did?
The pilot did.
Whoa.
He was not the authorized pilot for that plane, and he had just joined that company a few days prior to that flight. So he was very new with that company.
So Jaguar Wright alleges that the deaths of Aaliyah and other popular artists in the music industry is a bigger scheme and something else is behind it. So I'm going to go ahead and roll you guys this clip of everything that Jaguar Wright had to say, and you guys let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
But Aaliyah, why haven't we demanded more answers? After all this time, everyone is quick to agree that something is rotten in Denmark.
Yes.
With that. And everyone says it, even in the news reports, and yet no one has said it's time to talk to Hype Williams about why he didn't want Aaliyah to get on Lenny Kravitz's very, very, very wonderful and safe plane, to get on the janky one that he forced her on, which, by the way, she didn't get on willingly. She was and carried on. Why does no one ask Hype?
It is evident that Aaliyah was becoming into her own person before to her death. She was becoming more self-reliant, making her own decisions, and separating herself from certain industry figures.
The White's life was taken unfairly. She actually died screaming. And the Carters are responsible. But one of them is just a little more responsible than the other. Question is, did Sean Carter delete his mistress, his pregnant mistress, because his wife was jealous? Or could it be possible that maybe his wife's temper is just a little worse than most people think? And maybe he just had to clean it up to protect the brand, see?
This is where things get much more intricate. Even with all the legal pressure on Diddy, Jay-Z is unable to completely separate himself at this time if Diddy really possesses recordings or information related to those close to him. Leverage is created when one person has negative information about another. Furthermore, it goes beyond just one name. The problem with Diddy and Jay-Z's relationship is that their lives are so entwined that, should Tupac and Biggie's deaths be re-examined, both Diddy and Jay-Z may face legal action for their roles. Gene Deal said that Diddy and Jay-Z were pursuing the same objective. He says they received what he refers to as an assignment, and that task was to prevent East Coast rap from becoming popular again.
Jay-Z and Puff was given an assignment, and that was to destroy East Coast rap. And what I mean by that, and I know people gonna be like, yo, Gene is out of his mind and everything like that. Check this out, brother, is that New York rappers was getting 80 to 100, 800 to 1.2 million, or some larger than that, and sign with labels back then. And they was getting a lot of money to make albums and records. When they had guys down south that these labels was paying $250,000, $300,000 on record deals, and these guys was bringing back platinum albums and everything like that. So what they had to do was, they had to keep New York rappers down. That's one reason, other than the Irv Gotti shit that 50 was going through and the poison they was putting in about 50, he had to go elsewhere to California or with Jay and not with Dre and Eminem to get a deal. They did not want East Coast rappers to get big. They were suppressing all new artists that was coming out of New York. Jay and Diddy was doing that. That's why when I heard your story, because I knew this for a long time, but when I heard Dame Dash that Jay wouldn't sign off on nothing, Jay wouldn't do this and Jay would that, because he couldn't let a Cameron blow up. He couldn't let an East Coast rapper like Beanie Siegel blow up. Because him and Diddy was giving that deal, we gotta keep these East Coast rappers down.
Gene claims that something changed after that.
And then, along came a somebody. They was about to bring East Coast rap back. And there's nothing they could do about it. And this kid was finna put East Coast on the map, just like Big did. And this is after 50. And that was Papa Smoke. Pop Smoke. That was Pop Smoke. Let me just tell you something, man. 2 weeks before Pop Smoke died, K Slade, who heard this from the industry, that knows that happens in the industry, set Pop Smoke and his people down and gave them a jewel. He said, y'all gonna have to protect him with his life, with y'all life. Y'all gonna have to protect him with y'all life. Cause he know Pop Smoke was about to bring rap back to the East Coast. And what happened? Pop Smoke ended up dead. Now, I ain't trying to say that's some kind of conspiracy, and maybe some other shit was going on, or this, that, and the third. But brother, he had that conversation with K Slade 2 weeks before he was murdered. They didn't want rap to be back on the East Coast.
Ultimately, this is more than a single documentary or a single missing part. It's about recurring patterns, powerful individuals remaining shielded, unresolved questions, and tales that only surface years after the harm has already been done. One thing is difficult to overlook, regardless of whether you accept their assertions. It was unusual for Jay-Z to be absent from the documentary. There are serious concerns when one name is totally removed while everyone else is scrutinized, and those questions won't go away now that more insiders are coming out and investigations are expanding. What do you suppose will happen to this? Tell us in the comments section below.